To do is just quickly go back to some of the massing studies that we did and kind of build upon them. So I'm just going to run through them again just to help reinforce some of the things that we're doing. So I'm creating an in-place mass. I'm creating a new 3D view that I can work with, and I'm just going to come in and make something square profile, rough approximation of the size of your tower, so around 100 by 200. And then create form, all of this stuff you've done. While I have this selected, just hit the rotate button here and rotate this about 15 degrees at the top. Maybe I'll come in just do a little bit of adjustment to some of these guys. Tweak it a little. Again, here when I'm going to go ahead and make a void form and start cutting away at this guy. The placement plane is important, so when I first select the rectangle, it might want to snap to different levels as you're going to actually draw. So having on level 1 is kind of key. And this time make a void form, pull it up through the object, hit finish mass. And I'm going to make another mask that that kind of goes inside of that one that we might use for, say, plaza or retail space down below. We're going to start talking more specifically about programmatic pieces. So I'm going to start here, snap to the corner, and kind of pull out of this piece, hit create form, pull it up until it snaps to that guy. And I might kind of play with this a little as well. Maybe grab the corner. So I'm going to hit dissolve. I don't want to dissolve it, it's too much. Maybe pull this edge out. Just kind of playing with it a little bit, get some different geometries. I'll add an edge, tap to select it, pull it out. There we go. Now we're getting some different stuff. I'm going to hit finish mask. So now I've got two masses in here. In both instances, I'm going to go in, hit mask floors. You can see by default it's just got level 1 and level 2. So I'm going to go back into the elevation view and go ahead and place some new masses or some new levels. So the first thing I'm going to do is just select both of these and slide them over here so that they're more readily seen. This first level probably has some retail, so I'll set it up at 20 on the second level, so the first ceiling height. And then we'll do an array, say 14 feet floor to floor, a lot like what we did. The number is over here. I need to zoom out in order to see it. I'll put like 18 here and see how we do. We can go a little higher. 22, perfect. Then I can go to this other mass and hit mass floors, and this time I won't be able to go as high with this, so maybe try up to 9. Looks like I need to stop at 8. I'm going to check that out. I'm going to get errors later on if I'm trying to create mass floors in a thing that doesn't sync up. So just popping in the 3D view here. I never finished the mass floors in the other tower. So we'll select all those. There we go. Okay, so basically what we set up is the same kind of setup that we've been using before. Again, if you want to make the plan views for all of those drawings, you can do that. Select all the levels from the plan view set up here under view. I haven't been in control. Anyway, hopefully that works for you. Pop back out into 3D here. I'm going to change it over to shaded just so you can see the so you can see the different mass floors inside of these shapes. So now what I want to talk about is creating a schedule and using a schedule to actually link up some of the programmatic aspects of your project with the massing studies that you might be doing. Sorry. So here under View, we're going to create a new schedule. So you can see there's another schedule button right there by the Plan View button, Schedule and Quantities. By default, I think all of these filters are checked. You want to just uncheck them all, so it's just architecture. That's all we're going to need right now. And come down to Mass, and we're going to hit Mass Floor. So this is going to set up a Mass Floor schedule for us. Basically, this is just creating a spreadsheet with all the information that's associated with any of the objects that you've got in your model. So I'm going to come in here and basically add in different parameters that are important to me. For right now, all we're really looking for is floor area and level. The order that you have them here is important. It's going to be the order in which the columns appear in the schedule. And I'm just going to go ahead and create this so you can see what it looks like. Pops up a new window. This first version of it here just has all the levels going all the way through. And all the square footages for each of those levels. You can see there's 2 levels, 1 through 8. That's indicating these are the levels for the first object that I built, the kind of retail object, and these are the levels for the second object, the tower piece. What I want to do is just kind of create a separate little window here, so I'm looking at my massing studies and my square footages at the same time. So this is what makes this useful and powerful, is that now you can come in and start adjusting the geometry of your tower form. So I'm going to hit like Edit in Place here for the retail object. Oh no, excuse me, for the tower object. And if I push and pull on this plane, it's going to adjust on a check, and it's going to readjust all of the square footages going down through my mass floor schedule. Okay, so now what we want to do is actually associate different programs with this. So I'm going to go back into the schedule. I can do that a couple of different ways. The easiest is probably here in the project browser to come down to Schedules, and you can find the mass floor schedule. Once I select it, all the fields, filters, sorting options are here. If you check any one of these edit, it's good. Sorry about that, missed one more box. So again, back here in the formatting, you can see when you choose the level area, it doesn't allow you to calculate the total. So I wasn't calculating the totals here, which needs to be set in the formatting tab of this guy. But when I go to floor areas, I can check the calculate totals button. So once you've checked that, and then go back to sorting and group and hit grand totals and totals only, that will provide you with the grand total of square footage for the tower object that you have. Okay, now to make this relevant to your particular program, again, we'll come back in here. Under the Fields tab, the very first tab, we're going to add a parameter called Program Type. So this is the first time we've added a new parameter, but parameters you've been using a lot, whether or not you've realized it, but basically in any family type we've been using mostly dimensional parameters, sometimes material parameters. So we're going to make a new one for the first time. This is going to be called Program Type, and it's not going to be a length parameter, it's going to be a text parameter, simply just defining the type of program that's on a given floor plate. You can see how that adds it in as a third thing. I can move it up so that it might be in between level and floor area in the spreadsheet. And now it's going to be more relevant to come in here and look at how we're actually sorting these things. So first thing we want to sort by is level, and then by program type. And in the footer here, we can put totals only for the square footage of the program type. Oh, did it again. So we don't need to actually sort by level. And we want to just sort by program type and then by floor area. And the footer should have the totals for the floor area. I'm still doing that backwards. Sorry, I think the cold meds are starting to kick in. I'm getting a little confusing. So just clean it up here. Going right back. Going to select the schedule. Basically, you're just looking at level, program, and floor area. We want to sort this just by program type. So we're just trying to figure out how much square footage of a given program we've got in our current massing. Okay. Each of those things needs to be defined using that parameter that we added, this program type parameter. So once we've got the sorting set up here as just sorting by program type, now it'll make a lot more sense. What you got to do is come back out here to your project, and you can select any one of these floors, or you can actually hold control and select a couple of them. And over here you're going to see that there's a new text parameter called program type. I'm just going to define these as retail. These upper two might define these next three as, say, hotel. And then the last two, again, as retail. And you can see it gives me a little drop-down option. And then I can draw a box around the whole other mass, the office tower mass, and I need to use the filter button here to deselect the mass itself. So I've just got the 23 floor plates, and now I can come in here to the office type, or the program type, and type in office. So, using two different masses or multiple masses in this instance is a good thing because it allows you to see the floor plates as you're defining them. So you can see our spreadsheet automatically updated to tell us that we've got level 8 is still doesn't have a program type defined. Let's see which floor that is. Not that one. It looks like there's a little chunk here that's kind of cut out. Let's call that one retail as well. So now we get totals for the hotel, which are the levels 3, 4, and 5 in there, the office space, 464,000 square feet, and retail. And again, these are gross square footages, so you're going to cut out, probably close to 20% of it for mechanical and circulation. So as you're looking at your program for your towers, you're going to want to be conscientious of this. Okay, once the model is set up like this, now is where it gets much more powerful. So if you've got too much or too little of a given program type, you can start adjusting and looking at different versions of the model in order to understand how it impacts the overall square footage. So if I select this mass and hit edit mass again, maybe tab through till I get this corner and start pulling it this way, you can see that it starts to get beyond the void volume that I cut. And then when I hit check, it's going to go back through and recalculate all those totals. You can see I've added 100-some thousand square foot of office space into the tower. This is a bit deceptive. You've got to pay attention here because it will double count these floor plates if they're sitting on top of one another because they're in separate masses. So you have to be conscientious of updating your voids as you're moving these things around if you've got masses engaged with one another in order to be able to understand how a program might touch on those given floor plates. Okay, that's all for now. I did want to show one more thing. Sorry. So as you're looking at these, if you may want to understand a little bit more what's happening in section. As you select objects, so if I say select all of these objects, there's a little button here called selection box. This is new in 2016. It used to be called section box. And when you drew a section cut through your project, I guess I'll show you how to draw a section cut as well. If you come into level 1, you can hit the section and draw a section cut through the project. That's going to create, this is the clipping plane that's going to go on behind. It's going to create a new section tab here in the project browser, and I can go into that section view and see this drawing, see a relative drawing of what the section looks like on that given floor plate. At the same time, if I close those out, as I was starting to show you, using this selection box tool, whatever I select, it's going to draw a box around, and it's going to allow me to take this box and actually pull it through and look in 3D at the different geometries that I might have in the model. So I can kind of cut through, see how the two masses are engaging with one another, to get a more analytical kind of perspective on the massing studies as I'm working through programming and so forth. Okay, now I'm done. Oh, no.